Hey there, everybody. Welcome. It's Lotus. So, today I'm thinking about ascension. I'm thinking about the ascension process that we've been on, and I'm thinking about the unknown territory that we're moving into and what that's going to mean as we move into this next year and really this whole next decade at least. But particularly this next day or two. I think that the world as we know it is going to be drastically and vastly different as we continue around or continue along this trajectory. And where are we at right now, right? Where are we at that is supporting where it is that we're going? And I think for a long time, I don't always talk about it, our awakening journey from the ascension perspective specifically. But I think that we're going to do that a little bit more today. And one of the ways that we can look at the ascension process is it's not only our awakening, right? It's not just waking up and to the fact that we need to do healing work, waking up to the fact that the whole world really needs to do deep healing work, waking up to the recognition that we have put our eggs in many baskets that actually have served in whatever configuration of light and dark they've been. But now that's shifting. And so we're having to reclaim our eggs. And one of the ways that we can talk about this is reclaiming our power, reclaiming our deeper soul-connected awareness, and recognizing that not everything that appears that it's meant to serve us on this planet has served us, and certainly is probably not going to keep serving us. Doesn't mean that it hasn't been perfect. It doesn't mean that there haven't been necessary phases and stages of that, of that developmental growth process that we talk about a lot. So all of that is part of this awakening journey, right? We do the healing work, we recognize our woundings from our past, and then what? So this next phase is actually the ascension trajectory. So what I want to start doing is talking more in a way that unifies that process of awakening that feels like it's a micro process, right? This is my work to do my healing work. Absolutely. That's that initial stage and phase. It's my work to do my healing work so that I can, right, be in better relationship with my life, meaning my family, my friends, my passion, my purpose. What do I do to create a fulfilling life? So that piggybacks on that level of coming home to the self, healing the self, loving the self, being of service in whatever the way that is, finding peace and harmony and balance in our life, and then beginning to recognize that we can have a role in the larger perspective, right? Many people who have been on this trajectory now are now starting to step into feeling your roles as healers, as guides, as teachers, as ways of supporting those that are now in the beginning stages of their awakening, right? So it just sort of keeps blooming up layer upon layer. And yet, from the ascension perspective, and what I want to say about ascension is it's a huge topic. the things, the components, the frameworks and constructs that go into what ascension actually is not concise or simple or compact. There's a lot to it. And it's like looking at a diamond, right? And you put the diamond in the sun and you see all the different fractals of light. It's all part of that whole diamond. But there are many expressions in different colors that carry very different codes, that carry very different, what do I want to say, journeys of spiritual development that is still connected to the whole. So if you're just starting, you're right on track. If you're now sort of moving into, whether you're a star seed, whether you're a way shower, whether you're not even sure, and that's fine. It doesn't matter, right? There doesn't have to be labels. We're kind of moving out of the labels in some ways. At least I'm moving more out of the labels. But I think that sometimes they're necessary and needed to communicate specific things. So, so in our spiritual path then, we've also thought in terms of, I want to get happier. I want to feel more peace. I want to access more abundance. I want to, test my skills at manifesting. All of those are part of what happens when we start waking up and access more expanded levels of consciousness. So this next phase of ascension, and let's look at this as ascending. What are we ascending? Right? What are we rising above, so to speak? What is it that we're rising into? And what does that rising actually mean? So from the embodiment perspective of that faceted diamond, right? From the sacred embodiment, communication of our evolutionary process into ascension means that in my realm, right? Everybody's going to have their gifts, their skills, their perceptions, their perspectives. You get to find out where you resonate, right? You get to find out what moves your heart into a pitter patter because it's also resonant for you. So from this embodiment perspective, we're moving beyond healing, first of all. We're doing our healing work, and then we go beyond the healing work. So we start to leave the perspective of this lifetime, this personhood that we know ourselves to be. And we start to awaken again to the remembrance of everything that we have forgotten when we moved into the human body. All right? Where did we move into this from? So there's a lot of ways we can talk about it. We can look at it. There's a lot of teachings. Let's just narrow it down in very practical terms. Our soul journeys all over the universe, right? Incarnating all over the place. Places that we know, places that we don't yet know. When it chooses to incarnate here on Earth at this time in particular, it came here because we've never done this before. As humanity, on this planet. We have never ascended into the larger remembrance of all that we are. So we're talking about, in one way, we're talking about our multi-dimensional reality, our multi-dimensional selves. All right? Different aspects of us that are operating, that are existing, that are guiding and supporting us on higher dimensions that are not physical. So you can go back into my older videos and look at this a little bit more closely. Accessing your highest self, understanding timelines, understanding, maybe those are the main ones that are there. The Ascension process. I think I've got one on the Ascension process. And that'll bring you up to speed. So what we're looking at doing now is we're starting to take our view, right, as we get to the next stages of development. We start looking not just within our personhood and our identity, but we start bringing our view into our cosmic self. And we start accessing our cosmic consciousness, our highest selves. I like to sum all of this up, whether it is your galactic higher selves, your angelic higher selves, your ascended masters and master healer higher selves, your elemental higher selves, right? Your fairy and elven highest selves, your dragon highest selves. All of this is your divinity. And all of these aspects, they start landing with higher frequencies into the physical form, right? The consciousness of those frequencies. And then our physical form begins to gain more light. Our DNA gets activated. Our junk DNA is our spiritual DNA. It is the consciousness that we are already coded with that carries our divinity. And all of divinity carries very specific frequencies, qualities, consciousness, which are expressions of energy. We have a myriad of new constructs inside of us that rise us out of being just human into becoming a divine human. There are a number of different names that refer to this process, right? We're becoming beings of light. How does this happen? Well, it happens first and foremost by doing everything that we're doing, right? Because you're here. So you're doing the work. You can't access where we're going without doing the work. Because everything that we do to bring about more of our wholeness, all of our healing brings about our wholeness. Purifying the heart space. This is the key. This is the portal. We have to move beyond the divisions, the judgments, the things, the thought forms, the belief systems that keep us stuck in these old ways of being. We purify the heart. And by purifying the heart, we're able to access higher expressions of divine consciousness. When we start to hit this next level, we're not as contracted onto me, mine, my, right? I need to get mine, whatever mine is. We're not locked in survival. We're not locked in scarcity. We've uprooted and purified that conditioning. When you uproot and purify those levels of conditioning, you begin to recognize that there is more freedom. We don't have to rely on our old fears to survive. Instead, our survival is upgraded into thriving and flourishing, into harmony and balance, into living from the heart center, a purified state or states of love. This is the doorway. This is the doorway to us being able then to access the new earth. You can call it new earth. We can call it heaven on earth. We can call it the higher energies meeting the lower energies, right? And the higher energies lifting the lower energies, and then the lower energies drawing down more light so that there's more light on the planet. For more light to come on the planet means we will be needing to hold more light. So this is the ascension process. It is over time, and I'm not going to put a time on it, and I don't talk about a lot of this very much until I get to certain stages and phases. Because this is in a path of embodiment. I share from direct experience. I don't share from constructs or ideas or even necessarily what other people are talking unless I feel that alignment and I feel that truth in me matching my experience. Now, it's not to say that my experience in this alignment is the only one. Remember, we've got this fractaled diamond with all these different facets and colors, right? Each of those colors is a different frequency. It's a different consciousness. It's a different expression of how different souls are going to make their way through this ascension process. There isn't a one way. There isn't a one size fit all. So as we continue to expand into more light, eventually, right, we will activate the totality of our light body becoming less and less physical. Clearly, I'm not there, so I don't talk about that very much. Clearly, there are a lot of stages and phases that I have an intellectual understanding of, but I don't talk about those as much either until I embody, meaning until I've raised enough of my frequency and my light quotient and my heart is activated into a divine neutrality. Doesn't mean that I still don't go through purifications. If some of you watched the class that just came out last week, then you will know firsthand I gave a very personal story about this purification that I've been going through. And as that purification happens, I come into more love. I come into more compassion. I come into more wholeness because I've brought more of me back. My consciousness then changes because my frequency can now hold a higher level of consciousness. This means that my timeline begins to shift because timelines can be small little timeline jumps or larger timeline jumps. No matter how you look at them, there has to be a consciousness that has shifted and embodied to anchor a specific timeline. So right now, as we move into this next year, we want, and I'm saying we want, I'm speaking to those of you who are really desiring and know that your soul is guiding you along your awakening and ascension journey, right? We want to keep upgrading the sacred technology that is our body. Our body is a divine vehicle and vessel. I like to say that it is a sacred vehicle and vessel at this level of it because it's still very earth-bound. And so the more conscious we become to know that our vessel is holy, we continue to treat it with love. We continue to nourish and nurture it. We continue to divinely align with our yes, with our natural next levels. We continue to do the things that serve our organic healing, vitality, vibrancy, because all of those are frequencies, right? Through right food, right thought, right actions, right environment, right consumption, whatever we're consuming with our mind, our mouth, our ears, our eyes, that is going to continue to build more light in the body so that we can anchor our divinity. So when we start anchoring more divinity, our view begins to open even wider. So in yesterday's video, I talked about everything is perfect, right? Everything is perfect. When we are aligning with our highest good, life is going to bring exactly what we need. Because our soul is going to be working with life, right? With the divine, with God, with whatever that is for you. It's going to be bringing it in to help us to continue to keep moving through the next levels. So it's all perfect. If we're still asleep, it's still perfect. We just have a harder time recognizing that our struggles are actually the sacred teachings trying to get our attention so that we can look inside and say, oh, what is going on? Why is this happening? What do I need to do? Okay, so that's a different tangent. I don't want to get off on that. At this point, I might go back to that. If that's interesting for people, you can let me know if you want to understand this process in more detail. But as we begin to come into more of the ego view through the heart space being purified, through divine neutrality, through flexing this muscle that says yes to higher consciousness, higher thought forms, higher emotions. This isn't dividing us against any darkness that we have. We're actually healing it simultaneously and honoring it through allowing it to come to the surface, because more light comes in, it pushes more darkness up. And we go, oh, hello there. I guess we need to do a little, we need to do a little dance together, right? We need to heal. We need to resolve so we can come back into oneness and wholeness. And then we're coherent again. They go hand in hand. It's a one long continuum. And then we start looking out and inquiring, what is my highest good here? How am I meant to serve? It's no longer about just staying in here and doing our work and then becoming comfortable. Now, that might be some people's paths, but my guess is you probably aren't hanging out here if that's your path, if that's your soul journey. This is for those of us who know that we are on an ongoing trajectory. And this next level is not about us. We've built the foundation of a solid us. We've come home. We've anchored. We've aligned. We know our truth. We've fallen into self-love. We've matured. And we're ready to keep maturing into this next level of higher service, of greater leadership, higher visions of how the collective can be uplifted and how everybody can move into thriving and flourishing and living from a very different desired experience of what life really holds. So from a place of remembrance, we as humans, and particularly as divine humans, growing into, birthing our divine humanity, we are not meant to suffer anymore. We are not meant to struggle and strive and suffer. Does that mean that everything is harmonious all the time? I don't know that because I'm not there. But what I know in the phases and stages where I'm open to that higher guidance and when I'm getting the downloads, any things that come in our wake that need to be resolved, we'll know how to do that from a deeply healed inner landscape. And we will not have the same density of karma that we're having to work through. Once we work through this, so I'm going to say this from more of a construct, okay? I don't know this for sure yet, but everything that this last year and 2 years has been showing me is that there's truth in this. That when we're doing our inner work, and with all the help of the higher frequencies and our compassion and our dedication and devotion, when we are on this path, once we heal all of our karma, we're done. We're done. We don't have more stuff in there because now we're holding more light. We've created the space for grace. We've created the space for our remembrance, for our divinity, for a higher self-consciousness, for more love. Does that mean that we're going to lose our uniqueness as we come into more of this unified space and place of heaven on earth or a new earth? I personally like the new earth because it just feels a little bit more accessible. Does it mean that there won't be personalities in a different way of operating, that we still won't have differences? The thing is that we will know how, because we've healed. We will be more adept at unifying differences while honoring the uniqueness. So we're moving now with Aquarius into this quickened invitation. So this is why I'm going to be opening up more classes, or not, well, probably more classes, but more private sessions after the first of the year, because we're at a whole next level jumping off place now, right? We've done a lot of this footwork. We've done a lot of this groundwork. For those of you who are just coming in, right? Just know it's going to go faster for you. It's going to be easier, but it still has to be done. And then if you're claiming and choosing the ascension trajectory, your highest expression, we're now at a whole new level of mastery, of maturation, of deeper and clearer seeing, of knowing the self from more of a soul perspective rather than a personality and egoic perspective, because we're what's the word I'm looking for? We're purifying our ego construct as well as we go. All right? So that perhaps our ego will sort of dissipate. Perhaps it'll take a different role. I don't know that yet because I'm not really there. I just see the process towards that direction at this point. So the invitation is, are you ready, right? Are you ready for your next leveling of who you are? Not because there's anything wrong with who you are, but because we are now opening up to remembering our fullest potentials of who we are, based on being beings of love and light, based on operating from an ongoing heart that is purifying, raising our frequency, and allowing us to expand our consciousness. So I think I'm going to leave it there. In the class, one of the things that I talked about, and that's still available, I'll put the link below here, is that for everything that I'm talking about, it's going to be really important to understand what is the organic timeline and what is the inorganic timeline, so that you know that you're making the right choices for you. I don't go into it in depth. I give very surface examples. And what I will say here in closing is that the organic timeline means that we are accessing our evolution, our spiritual awakening through the body without inorganic materials. Okay? And that our connection with nature is in itself a whole living system that is a technology that is supporting our evolution. And the more that we're connected to that natural expression, rather than technological in a mechanical sense, I'm not ruling everything out. However, we want to be really mindful of our motivations for every choice that we're making now. And are we choosing to say yes to our alignment? And if you're not sure exactly what that looks like or what that even means, right, then drop me a note as well so that I can address some of these, and maybe we'll put that into this Zoom class that I'm going to hopefully be doing in the next couple weeks. It'll be free, it'll be live for everybody who wants to join in with questions, experiences, deeper understanding, what's going on in your world, in your path. What are you, how is it grokking for you? All right? All right, that's it for today. So, very exciting. If you want that class, then you can see it below. happy to share that with you. And also, if you like this video, I would love us subscribing. That would be great. Thank you so much for everyone who is and giving me the thumbs up, letting me know that this is resonating with you. And have a very, very wonderful, blessed day. Much love.